Converse has a brand new signature sneaker, but it's not with basketball, which is pretty interesting. Instead, it's a completely original skate shoe. Yo, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on these bad boys right here. This is the Converse AS-1. It's a brand new signature sneaker for a female skater, which is really interesting. Now her name is Alexis Sablone, and I will be real upfront, I don't know who that is. I had to go and look her up. She actually seems pretty badass as a skater. All of the stuff that I've seen on her Instagram, I can't do any of it. She seems also real technical too, which is really dope. And the features that they have on this shoe seem to cater directly towards that type of skater. So I think that most new generation skaters will really like these. Now Converse did send these over, so a big thank you to Converse for letting us check these out. I believe they release on May 2nd, and the retail price is 80 bucks, which I think is awesome. It's like right in line with Vans and all that stuff. Very similar technology, but a little bit beefed up for certain things like skateboarding. One of the things that I do really like about the shoe though is that it's an original model, but they definitely take elements from their heritage, which I absolutely love when brands do, especially heritage style brands like a Nike or a Jordan or a Converse, which are all owned by Nike anyways. So yeah, I like the way that these look. They almost have a weapon vibe to them, but if you're looking for the weapon, stay tuned. However, if you're also just looking for something new that's affordable, that you want to skate in and thrash around, this should be one of those great shoes to do that in. One of the things that they've got on here is full-length herringbone. As somebody that used to play basketball, I would love to play in something like this. This looks awesome. So you got really thick grooves in there. It's a deep channeled groove as well, so it's not super thin rubber or anything like that. So these should last a decent amount on grip tape or against grip tape. And then the rest of everything moves on up to a rubberized cupsole. In the press release, they actually said that this was their first Cupsole skate model, which I thought was weird because they've turned the Fast Break, which is an old school 80s basketball shoe, one of which Jordan wore while in college, but that shoe is actually a Cupsole as well. So I don't know if they just mean that this is their first original Cupsole or if it's their first Cupsole model, which would be inaccurate as far as Converse skateboarding goes. And then inside of the Cupsole is actually one of these beefed out insoles. This is awesome. I gotta say, like, whether you're skating or just using these casually, this is their CX foam. So we've seen this on previous Converse models and it's very nice. It's very comfortable. It's not super plush, so you still got a little bit of board feel underneath your feet. And then you can see that there is a definite heel to toe drop, but it's not drastic. And then one of the things that they've actually done with this Cupsole that they said was catered directly towards technical skaters, that they've cored out the Cupsole area. So most Cupsoles inside look really weird. They're actually hollowed out and they kind of look like a grid. And I believe that's how the rear is, but the forefoot area feels very thinned out and it does not feel like it's sitting in a grid. It just feels like your foot is resting inside a hollow cup. So you can press in here and everything. Very similar to a Jordan 1 Cupsole, which most skaters love to, you know, skate in and things like that. Like bikers like to use them as well. Not bikers, but BMX guys. I don't know what they're called.
I was gonna say cyclist, but then you said BMX and
it's
those are
totally,
two different.
yeah, totally different thing. Now the materials are all leather. They do state in that same press release that it's full grain leather. It's not. This is very thin cuts, most likely split grain. So yeah, I don't know why brands keep saying full grain all the time when they clearly don't use full grain leather. I do believe it's because the USA's requirement for full grain is very minimal. So all your leather has to do is feature a certain amount or percentage of leather in there for it to be considered full grain, even though it's not technically full grain.
It's like how many bugs you can have in your food.
Yay. You know, extra protein, man. However, the leather is coated with a durable polyurethane coat on there, so it does feel very skate friendly. It does make it feel a little bit stiff at first, like as far as the overall leather goes. Think of a Nike Dunk, like a current one. The materials on most of those are just straight up awful. So this feels very similar, with the one exception is that this is actual leather, whereas most of those Dunks are not. They are a low cut model, very standard or typical with skate shoes, so I really love that. I think that these look really clean. Again, they look very similar to an 80s shoe without it being a direct copy and paste or rip off of an older model that they had in the past. You've got that classic Cons logo on the side of the shoe where you got the chevron and the star. You also have Cons on the rear and stuff. This is very 80s and early 90s. I think it looks fantastic. On the tongue, you actually have signature branding, so you've got Alexis's name on both sides of the tongue, or first is on one or last is on the other. here, and a couple of cool features that they added or included for skate, one of which is additional laces, which is awesome. The two laces are actually different as well. So the one that they have already laced in the shoe feels a little thicker, a little bit more durable, whereas the secondary pair is a typical standard kind of like cheap lace that you would see on almost every shoe. But they do come with two sets of laces, so I think that that's a win. It would have been nice had one of them been that green color, but either way, it's great that they came with an extra set. One of the other things that I think is fantastic, even though I wish that they would have switched this up just a little bit, is right here at the forefoot area on the lateral side, they have this extra panel. You can see it accented with all that extra contrast stitching, but you have these four, what I'm gonna just call dots. I don't know what they're technically called, but it reminds me of the Chet Thomas 4s. They also had something like this, where they're little rubber pieces that stick out of the shoe. So it's going to grip your grip tape for flick tricks, and it's also gonna keep that material underneath it protected just a little bit longer. So you probably will grind down those little rubber nubs or pods eventually or soon enough. But while you're doing that, it's not going to make your shoe look like complete
trash.
However, I do wish that this section right here where those first two eyelets are at had an extra flap or something like that, like a dunk, where you'd be able to tuck the laces underneath there because your laces are gonna get chewed up eventually. Other than that, I think that these look great for skating. So if you skate and you wanted something different and you didn't want to skate in any of the skate branded shoes, which is weird because that's not how it was when we were growing up. A lot of people saw stuff like this as kind of like big name corporations invading the skater space, which is apparently fully accepted now. I don't know what happened, but whatever. They are a little bit narrow. So speaking of sizing, they do fit true to size lengthwise, and they also are unisex. So despite this being a women's signature shoe, which again, I think is really awesome, but on there, much like most Converse shoes, they are fully unisex. So it's got both sizes on there. They also come in like this throwback Converse style box. So I like that too. So I think that most people will like these. I don't skate anymore, but should I throw in the longboard?
Sure, why not?
I did just get my very first longboard, which is f***ing awesome. This board is actually one of the nicest things I've ever owned, made out of wood.
Hey.
This is a brand called Deviate. They're stationed or located over on the East Coast. These are all handmade boards, which is really awesome. Despite how they look, they do have a grip on here. I don't know how they do it, but I think that it's fantastic. The trucks are awesome. The wheels are hella smooth. You can just glide for days on these things. It's made for like street surfing essentially, because the owner of the brand is actually a former surfer and he wanted to continue shredding, but on the street or on the pavement. So if you're interested in any of their boards, they actually have a few different options available, which is very cool. This is my favorite one just because it's more like a traditional skateboard. So this is just their cruiser board, but they have like traditional long boards. I personally wanted something that felt more like my skateboard, but with the ease or the comfort, I guess you would say, of a longboard, which is really cool. It was a little weird to get used to, but I'm getting it. So that pretty much takes care of it. Again, this is the Converse AS-1 Pro, brand new Pro model or signature model from the Converse brand for Alexis Sablone. And again, if you're interested in grabbing one of these things, this colorway will be available starting on May 2nd. They do say on the website though that there's going to be other colorways coming. Some of them should be having suede. Those are the ones where I'm really interested in because I love suede. So hopefully those are a little bit better, or not better, but just like softer along the upper for longboarding. But these are a technical shoe, so I get it. But again, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Let us know what you think about these down below in the comment section. And with that being said, we will catch you on the next one. So until then, have a good one.